Why do you lie like this, Blake? Why? Why do you do this? Do you understand you are not smarter than the internet?
Justin Baldoni just destroyed Blake Lively for providing fake evidence straight to the court. Well, let me tell you, it's a huge crime, and Blake is now done for life.
I really think Blake Lively sucks, and I think Ryan Reynolds is a bully.
She was crumbling so fast that she didn't think twice before pulling this desperate move. Recently, she added new amendments in her lawsuit, filled with fake evidence.
This isn't gonna end well for you, Blake. Sorry.
Blake Lively really thought she could pull off the biggest Hollywood scam of the decade, but instead, she got exposed in the worst way possible.
You're basically saying you're a liar. You misrepresent who you are.
She played herself, thinking she could get away with fabricating evidence, deleting key texts, and manipulating the narrative. But the truth is out. She wanted to destroy Justin Baldoni's reputation with a $250 million lawsuit, expecting him to just roll over and accept the hit.
That's control, that's selfishness, that's entitlement. This woman is a monster.
But Baldoni wasn't having it. He flipped the script so fast that Blake probably got whiplash. Now she's the one panicking because his $400 million counter lawsuit is not just a legal battle. It's a full-on takedown of her entire career, her credibility, and possibly every last dollar she has.
None of it was just due to the fact that she seems like a rather shitty person.
This was supposed to be an easy win for her. She had Hollywood elites, the media, and even her husband, Ryan Reynolds, in her corner. But guess what? Even Reynolds is backing away now.
In the court of public opinion, they've lost.
He knows Blake is a sinking ship, and he's not about to let her drag him down with her. The same industry that used to bow at her feet is now distancing itself, because no one wants to be associated with a fraud who got caught red-handed.
And note the consequence has been terrible for Blake and Ryan in terms of people following them.
The minute the truth started coming out, the Hollywood machine that once protected her went silent. She thought her connections would save her, but the problem is, when you're exposed for lying, even your most powerful friends can't do anything for you.
This is insane. What are you talking about? She genuinely is not aware of how insane she sounds.
The biggest slap in the face is how Blake tried to manipulate evidence and got busted. Her entire case was built on fake proof, and when she realized that it wasn't holding up, she tried to sweep the evidence under the rug. She deleted key text messages that completely contradicted her claims. Remember how she originally included messages that made Baldoni look bad? Well, now those messages are gone because they actually proved she was setting him up.
There's a lot of comments that she puts in here that you're just like, why would you want to take over someone's movie? The outfits in this end are so out of touch. No, we don't want to watch bullies like Blake.
Two texts in particular, he doesn't realize how lucky he is right now, and we need to press on him. Were completely erased from her revised filing. Why? Because they showed that she was trying to twist the narrative to make Baldoni look guilty.
But Blake Lively, much more different culturally, more about the power and thinking that this is about the feminist Me Too movement. How dare you do this?
And let's not forget about that sneaky 50-page amendment she submitted in the middle of the night. She thought no one would notice, but of course, the internet caught on. What kind of person drops a massive legal update at midnight unless they're trying to hide something? That alone tells you she knew her case was weak and was hoping to slip in some last-minute changes without anyone catching it. But it gets even worse.
So I found that incredibly telling. Hidden in a little footnote, her protection that, well, you know, I was told they were lawfully obtained. Yikes. Big, big yikes.
Her original accusations were based on HR complaints that never existed. She claimed that studio executives had concerns about Baldoni's behavior, but Sony and Wayfarer Studios straight up denied these complaints ever existed. In other words, she completely made them up.
That's insane and that's crazy. And this is a reason why I think in the future people are just not going to work with her, because it's starting to add up. People are realizing that this is a pathology.
At this point, the court had no choice but to tear her case apart. They discovered that Blake's so-called evidence was edited, cropped, and manipulated. This wasn't just a case of selective memory. She straight up altered documents to frame Baldoni. This is fraud. And when the court saw through her lies, it was game over.
So what ended up happening was yesterday, Justin Baldoni's attorneys got back regarding that filing, and they basically called them out, as they always do. And I'm going to show you what they said. They said, given how actively the Lively parties have publicized and litigated Ms. Lively's claims in the media.
Then came the courtroom slaughter. And yes, slaughter is the only way to describe what happened to Blake Lively's case when it actually faced real legal scrutiny. Her high-powered legal team walked into that courtroom thinking they were untouchable. But within just 90 minutes, everything fell apart. Not 90 days, not 90 hours, but 90 minutes.
Parties, of course, meeting for the first time in court today. It was about a 90-minute hearing.
That's all it took for Baldoni's legal team to obliterate her entire argument. Her lawyers got smacked down on every single motion they filed. Every single one.
We are surprised to now learn how vehemently she wants to prevent the public from accessing material and relevant evidence. The Lively parties provided the New York Times with Ms. Lively's otherwise confidential administrative complaint filed with the California Civil Rights Department.
One of the most embarrassing moments, when she tried to file an enhanced protective order to keep certain evidence hidden from the public. She was desperate to keep things behind closed doors, and we all know why, because the truth would expose her even further. But the judge saw right through it and denied the request immediately. Blake was trying to hide evidence while also publicly smearing Baldoni, and the court wasn't about to let that happen.
I will happily participate in releasing any further leaks that they have, because the truth should be out there.
But here's where it gets even worse for her. She tried to gag Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Ryan Reynolds, from talking about the case in public. Think about that for a second. She spent months weaponizing the media, leaking fake claims to the New York Times, and trying to turn Hollywood against Baldoni.
The judge chose to not impose the gag order on Justin Baldoni's attorney, Ryan Reynolds, today, but did threaten to move up the trial if the media press war continued.
But the moment his legal team started fighting back, she suddenly wanted to silence them. The court's response? Denied. Now Friedman is free to expose every single one of Blake's lies in front of the entire world.
If he's already said, basically, Brian Friedman has already said that he doesn't believe Blake Lively and that she thinks that she wants publicity and that she's proven that she wants publicity.
You would think after taking so many legal L's, Blake's legal team would at least put up a fight. Nope, they had nothing. They sat there stammering like clueless interns while Friedman ripped their arguments apart like a bad movie script.
I don't like your lawyer, and I don't want to sit down with him and answer questions and tell the truth. So she's trying to get out of having to sit down and be deposed by Brian Friedman. Like, sweetheart, that's not your option.
Every legal motion they tried, rejected. Every attempt to regain control of the case, denied. It wasn't just a courtroom loss. It was a full-scale humiliation.
So she's a serial fraudster. That's called fraud. She's a Me Too victim there. That's absurd.
And here's the cherry on top. The judge even warned Blake that if she continued using media manipulation, her trial date might be moved up from March 2020. That means she won't even have time to recover from this mess before she has to face the consequences. Imagine thinking you have 2 years to clean up your lies, only for the court to tell you that your time is running out.
He is, his agent is Ari Emanuel. He's a powerful Hollywood guy, and we all respond to Hollywood power. And there's a hypocrisy and a fraudulence there that the public is picking up on. And so that's really interesting. Now,
Ryan Reynolds, Hollywood's golden boy, is suddenly silent when it comes to his wife's legal disaster. The man who can't go 5 minutes without cracking a joke, who loves to insert himself into every conversation with his trademark sarcasm, has nothing to say about Blake Lively's public humiliation.
You are not smarter than the internet.
That tells you everything. Reynolds has refused to defend his wife, and people are wondering why. Maybe it's because even he knows she's guilty. Maybe it's because his Hollywood PR team has told him, get out now before she drags you down too. Either way, he's distancing himself, and fast.
It's part of being in the public eye. She's just used to being Hollywood's golden girl, and she had such thin skin that after having a couple negative things happen to her for a month, she had to blame him. She decided to blame him.
Reynolds has spent his entire career crafting a perfect public image. Funny, charming, and scandal-free. But now, his $350 million fortune is at risk thanks to Blake's reckless choices. Baldoni's $400 million defamation countersuit is no joke. That's more than Blake and Ryan's combined net worth. If Blake loses, which is looking more likely by the day, she will be financially obliterated.
She decided to blame him, and boy, does she open up a hornet's nest and learn, be careful what you wish for, because now you've got the fight you asked for, and you're not winning it.
And let's be clear, Ryan is not legally obligated to cover her losses. He could easily leave her high and dry, protecting himself while she drowns in legal fees. Hollywood PR experts are already whispering that a divorce might be on the horizon. Let's face it, Reynolds is not about to sacrifice his brand for Blake's self-inflicted destruction. Blake Lively thought she was untouchable, but Hollywood has officially turned its back on her. The industry that once adored her is now blacklisting her like a toxic liability. She spent years cultivating this fake America's sweetheart persona, but now everyone sees the truth. She's a manipulator, a liar, and a fraud who tried to destroy someone's career with fake accusations. And Hollywood wants nothing to do with her anymore.
Is they're watching everyone on TikTok, they're watching everyone on Instagram say, what you did is not okay. And they're standing in front of the world and they're saying, we can't be canceled because we're too connected. So what? Sorry for the rest of you guys. Sorry for the rest of you idiots who are beneath us. We just have to make a phone call to Ari Emanuel and we can get into a skit. And how we treat people doesn't matter.
Major studios like Warner Brothers, Marvel, and Sony are reportedly cutting ties with her entirely. Why? Because no one wants to be associated with a public scandal of this scale. Blake is now a walking PR disaster, and no studio is going to risk millions on an actress who could be exposed as a liar in court. The industry doesn't forgive financial risks.
The public noticed. The public noticed that things were weird and things began to backfire on you, okay?
And casting Blake Lively is now considered a financial risk. But the biggest betrayal of all? Taylor Swift. That's right. Blake's own best friend has stopped publicly supporting her. Remember when Swift used to name drop Blake and Ryan like they were the ultimate power couple? That's over. Taylor Swift has gone radio silent.
If Brian Friedman subpoenas Taylor Swift's text messages, wink, wink, that's what I want, that's what I want to see, and it reveals that actually Taylor Swift was LOLing with Blake Lively about being a dragon. She was like, yeah, I'm a dragon, rawr. And she was like plotting the takeover of the movie.
She's not out here defending Blake. She's not speaking on her behalf. And that silence is deafening. Hollywood elites know when to distance themselves from a sinking ship, and Taylor Swift has clearly realized that Blake's mess isn't worth the risk.
Well, Blake Lively's team is essentially requesting the right for their attorney to just designate that AEO, attorney eyes only, because that might unfairly harm the reputation of Taylor Swift.
And Taylor isn't the only one jumping ship. Colleen Hoover, the author of It Ends With Us, recently scrubbed her social media of any Blake Lively content. If that doesn't scream, I don't want to be associated with this disaster, I don't know what does. Blake starred in the film adaptation of Hoover's book, but now, even the author is pretending Blake never existed. That's how bad this has gotten.
It does not reference third parties or expressly apply its process to them. So they're saying it doesn't go far enough, Taylor Swift won't be protected.
Other Hollywood A-listers have also stayed completely silent. Scarlett Johansson, Jennifer Lawrence, and Emma Stone, once friendly with Blake, haven't said a word. They know better than to attach themselves to a crumbling career. Even the New York Times, which originally supported Lively's claims, is now backtracking, realizing they might have backed the wrong side. This is a full-blown Hollywood abandonment, and Blake is completely alone in the mess she created.
The context of that exchange shows that they're out there combating lies.
And now, the $400 million lawsuit is looming over her head like a guillotine. If she thought this was just a simple legal battle, she was dead wrong. Baldoni isn't playing around. His defamation lawsuit is more than Blake and Ryan's combined net worth, meaning this case could financially ruin them both. If she loses, which is looking more likely every single day, she won't just suffer a setback, she will be wiped out entirely.
She's basically saying that she does not want to sit down for a deposition with Brian Friedman. Like, I know that this girl grew up rich and privileged, but how rich we talking? You know what I'm saying? Because does she think she's just like a princess that she can just be like, I don't like your lawyer?
And Ryan won't save her. Despite his $350 million fortune, he has no obligation to bail her out, and he's too smart to throw his own money into a losing battle. There's no way he's risking his Deadpool 3 money, his aviation gin empire, or his Wrexham FC investments to clean up Blake's mess. If Blake was hoping Ryan would swoop in with a check and make all her problems go away, she better think again. This man is already plotting his exit.
That's a pretty strong argument. Now you're saying like anything being revealed to the public would be too much, but weren't you guys the one that like made like a whole movie, Deadpool, about what was happening? Your whole thing was a publicity tour. You know, it's giving like a never-ending publicity tour, but I want my privacy, Meghan Markle type vibes. Like, is there a little bit of a conflict between the words coming out of your attorney's mouths and your actions?
The worst part? Baldoni has all the proof he needs. His lawsuit isn't built on speculation. It's backed by 179 pages of hard evidence proving Blake's fabrications, media manipulation, and attempts to ruin his career. Every deleted message, every altered document, every inconsistent statement, he has it all. The court has seen the receipts, and Blake has nowhere to run.
Justin does a better job, in my opinion, of providing receipts and showing full context.
And let's not forget about the leaked emails and text messages that have surfaced. These directly link Blake to a coordinated smear campaign against Baldoni. She wasn't just a victim, she was orchestrating the entire attack. She planned to leak evidence to the press, use her Hollywood connections to turn people against Baldoni, and control the narrative to make herself look like the victim. But now that those emails have been exposed, her entire argument has collapsed.
They're saying, we'd just like to remind the public that it was clearly her team who leaked private text messages and leaked emails without any due process at all to the New York Times. So why are they coming at us pretending that like, oh, such a thing could potentially ruin careers?
Blake Lively played the victim, weaponized the media, and tried to manipulate public opinion to destroy a man's career. But she failed. And now she's not just losing in court, she's losing everything. Hollywood doesn't want her, her best friend has ghosted her, her husband is jumping ship, and her bank account is about to be wiped clean. This isn't just a career-ending scandal, this is a full-scale downfall. Blake thought she could control the narrative, but now the narrative is controlling her.
She claims he sexual harassed her, and then by the time they premiered the movie, they weren't even speaking to each other. She made him stay in the basement, and Ryan Reynolds turned on him too. And then she claimed that he unleashed a bad PR campaign against her.
The internet has completely turned against Blake Lively, and there is absolutely nothing she can do about it. She thought she could control the public narrative, but instead, she's watching her own downfall unfold in real time. The internet never forgets, and in Blake's case, it's making sure she never recovers. Cancel Blake Lively has been trending across TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube, with thousands of people exposing her lies, contradictions, and manipulative tactics. She wanted to frame Justin Baldoni as the villain, but all she did was expose herself as a Hollywood fraud.
He really sees this all the way through and makes sure we get to discovery and proves how disgusting some of these high-level celebrities can be.
Online users have pulled receipts from her past interviews, text messages, and legal claims, comparing them side by side to highlight how she has completely contradicted herself. She went from calling Baldoni an amazing co-star to suddenly painting him as a monster. But guess what? The internet remembers. You can't delete interviews, erase statements, or scrub past footage when millions of people have already saved it. The evidence against her is overwhelming, and every single day, more and more people are waking up to her lies.
She is accused of having turned the whole cast of It Ends With Us against Justin.
And it's not just random people on the internet tearing her apart, it's legal experts, YouTubers, and analysts who actually understand how weak her case is. Some of the biggest names in the YouTube legal community have completely dismantled her allegations, showing how her claims don't hold up under any real scrutiny. The legal inconsistencies are so bad that even some of her own fans have started turning on her. When you lie this much, eventually, even your most loyal supporters can't defend you anymore.
And the entire reason we got here was because you tried to play this in the press. Like, you went to the New York Times to try to take him down and to set a public narrative. And now that it's backfiring, you want out.
And speaking of her so-called fans, They are dropping like flies. Fan pages dedicated to Blake Lively have been shutting down because even the people who used to love her can't keep pretending she's innocent. The truth is out, and nobody wants to be associated with a sinking ship. It turns out people don't like being lied to. Who would have thought?
And I would say another reason that the public didn't respond well to this was because we have already accurately deduced that the both of you are raging narcissists.
But nothing, and I mean nothing, has backfired harder than her pathetic SNL appearance. This was supposed to be her big PR move, a chance to look powerful, untouchable, and still adored by Hollywood. Instead, it turned into one of the most embarrassing moments of her career.
And that's just public fodder. You guys don't need to know that. It's deeply embarrassing.
Ryan Reynolds thought he could save their image by joking about the lawsuit, but all he did was make them look like out-of-touch narcissists. The audience wasn't laughing. The comments were brutal. People called them hypocrites, frauds, and completely tone-deaf. Instead of controlling the narrative, they just reminded everyone why they were hated in the first place.
I didn't like him. Just gonna be straight with you, I didn't fucking like him. So they're both equally repulsive.
Blake and Ryan have tried everything to fix this PR nightmare, but every single attempt has failed. No matter what their team does, it just blows up in their faces. They can't post on social media without getting flooded with hate comments. They can't do interviews without people calling them out for lying. They can't even walk the red carpet without the internet dragging them into the dirt. They are desperately trying to spin the story, but the problem is, you can't spin a story when everyone already knows the truth.
I know this gets overused now, but she did FAFO. Like, she thought she could blame all of her negative press on him. He's a weakling. She's Blake Lively with Ryan Reynolds, her dragon.
The SNL red carpet appearance was supposed to be a distraction, but instead, it made things 10 times worse. People saw right through their fake smiles and forced confidence. They weren't walking in as Hollywood royalty. They were walking in as two frauds trying to salvage what's left of their crumbling reputations. And then Ryan, in all his infinite PR wisdom, thought it would be a good idea to make jokes about the lawsuit. Yeah, because when your wife is accusing someone of harassment, the best thing to do is turn it into a comedy skit, right? The internet roasted him alive. The comment sections were an absolute bloodbath.
They're sort of radioactive. In one breath, Blake Lively is saying she was the subject of serious sexual harassment during the filming of It Ends With Us, and now they're making light of it on SNL's 50th reunion show. So tonally, it does seem off, and I can imagine people just wanting to stay away from it. You're going to catch shrapnel if you get involved in this drama at this point.
And now, Deadpool 3 is at risk. Ryan thought he was untouchable, that Disney would never drop him no matter what. But the problem is, Disney doesn't like PR disasters, and that's exactly what he's in the middle of. This is one of the biggest lawsuits in Hollywood history, and if things keep getting worse, Disney might not want to be associated with him anymore. Imagine working your entire career to build a clean reputation, only to risk it all because you couldn't control your lying wife.
He's surrounded by friends because he's a very small, insecure man, and so what makes Ryan feel good about himself is money and power.
And then there's Blake's last-ditch effort to play the victim. She released a statement blaming Baldoni for all of her suffering, acting like she's the one being attacked. But the problem is, nobody believes her anymore. She's been caught lying too many times. She thought she could gaslight the entire internet, but people aren't stupid. Her latest statement was mocked so hard online that even some of her former fans started calling her out. The internet saw right through her fake tears and manipulative tactics.
Blake Lively's complaint of harassment. He called me sexy. I felt so uncomfortable. Why would you do that? Well, here's one point where she's calling him a ball buster. I'm just a ball buster.
At this point, Hollywood insiders are saying there's only one way out, settling quietly. But there's just one problem. Baldoni refuses to let her off the hook. She tried to ruin his entire career, and now he's making sure she pays for it. She thought she could walk away unscathed, but Baldoni is making sure she faces real consequences. This isn't just a minor legal battle anymore. This is a full-scale war, and she is losing badly.
Because what's actually funny to him is not the sexual harassment. What's funny to him is that he found a tool to be able to stage a hostile takeover of a business. And they were high. They were totally high on their own supply of power. They were enjoying it. They were enjoying humiliating Justin Baldoni. Like I said, they got so close.
Blake Lively orchestrated one of the biggest Hollywood scandals in history, and it's completely backfiring. She lied, manipulated, and fabricated evidence, thinking she could get away with it. But now, she has no evidence, no Hollywood support, and no financial security. She is running out of options, and there is no escape.
They're just girl bossing it. They're just like, wear your florals. We're going to file an amendment. It's going to be cute. We're going to give you so much emotion. It's going to feel good.
If she loses the defamation case, which is almost guaranteed at this point, she will be blacklisted from Hollywood, financially destroyed, and publicly humiliated. There is no comeback from this. Baldoni's legal team has all the receipts, and they are prepared to completely destroy her case in court. The only thing Blake can do now is sit back and watch as her career goes up in flames. She thought she was going to walk away as the hero, but instead, she's being exposed as the villain. Hollywood has turned its back on her. Her fans have abandoned her, and her entire career is collapsing in front of the world. Blake Lively's downfall is happening in real time, and there is no way out. Blake Lively is finished. Her fake evidence, legal stunts, and pathetic attempts at controlling the narrative have completely backfired. She thought she could walk into court, play the victim, and come out victorious. Instead, she's getting roasted in the legal system, the media, and public opinion, all at the same time. Every move she makes just digs her grave deeper, and at this point, there's no way out. Subscribe now for the full breakdown of Blake Lively's downfall. This Hollywood disaster is only getting worse,